Hi there, it's David Young, the Resourceful Coach, and what we're going to look at today is mastering your short game, and we're going to look at 3 different shots around the green. We're going to talk about the 2 techniques that I work on to make sure the consistency is there and we get one great result. So what are the 3 shots we're looking at? We're looking at a pitch shot. We're going to do a shot from about 40 yards. We're then going to do a chip and run type shot, and then we're going to do a lob shot. And the 2 key things we're going to look at is one of my things that I'm a massive believer in is that you guys go and buy golf clubs. And this is one of my golden rules. Use the golf clubs the way they're designed. I often get it on my short game videos. People, do you open the club more? Do you do this? Do you do that? The great thing is nowadays you don't need to. And the reason being is you go into a golf shop nowadays, you can buy wedges from 44 degrees all the way through to 62 degrees. And the way these clubs are now designed, if you want to hit a lob wedge type shot, which we'll come to later, go and buy a 60-degree golf club, use it the way it's designed, and it will give you the loft that you need to do. You don't need to start messing around with opening and closing the face. So that's what we're going to show you through this video. That's my number 1 thing we're going to talk about, my technique. Use the club the way it's designed. And we're only going to use 3 clubs around the green. So we're going to start with a pitch shot, and we're going to use my gap wedge. This is my 52-degree club. The other 2 clubs we're going to come to later are my standard pitching wedge and my lob wedge. Okay, but let's focus on the shot we've got in hand here. And let's go through, as I do with a lot of my videos, is data. Okay, we're going to look at it, and I don't see a reason why, in short game terms, especially when it comes to pitching, these sort of chip and run shots, type shots around the green and putting, why you can't be at least a single-figure level of player. Okay, that's the way I want you to look at it. So if we've got a 40-yard shot here, standard shot, we've got 40 yards to the flag, we've got around about 25 yards of fairway going up to the green, got a little drop down onto the green, and then we run out to the green. So we've still got probably about 45 feet of green. But what would be a good shot? Okay, an average shot for a guy shooting around about 80, and ladies as well, we're not just saying it's just for men. When it comes to short games, it's the same for all golfers. And this is what I try and instill into my junior golfers. There's no reason why, even at 12 years of age, you can't have a short game of a single-figure golfer. You may not have the power, but there's no reason when you're 40 yards away why you can't be as good as a single-figure golfer, or even better. So what is the number we're looking at? 10 feet. Okay, look at the average flag sticks, probably about 6 feet. So you're looking just under 2 flag stick lengths would be a good shot from any of these shots that we're going to play today. Okay, if you want to take it a step further, think what a professional golfer, let's say a scratch golfer, would be achieving. You're looking about 7 feet. Okay, so just around about that flag stick length. So that gives you an idea to think. You don't have to stick this thing 2 feet from the hole. If you're thinking that, you're putting pressure on yourself, you're probably going to make mistakes. So let's get on with the shots. We've given you some data there. I've got my 52-degree Vokey wedge, and I'm just going to use it the way it's designed. I think that's the reason why I've picked it. If I want to go higher, use more loft. If I want to go lower, use less loft. What I don't want you to do, if you've got the equipment in your bag, is start messing around with the club. Golf club designers have designed them in a way that that club, if it sits correctly on the ground, sits on its sole. We talk about this bounce of the club. You just want to sit the sole flat. If that sits flat, it can then slide through. That's what we're looking for. And that's all I'm going to do on this shot. So all I do when I play chip shots around the green is I'm looking to reduce the power. I know if I hit this club at full speed, full pelt, I can hit it 100 yards. As we've said, we're only looking to hit it 40 yards today. So what am I going to do that's going to make it easy to control the shot? The biggest thing I do is narrow my stance. Okay, most people stand to a golf shot, width to stance, shoulder width apart. Go approximately 2/3 that stance. Straight away, as soon as you narrow your stance, you're mentally going to be hitting the ball softer. You don't think, when you're standing like this, you think, oh, I've got to get power. And I see people stand like, they get it and then they try to decelerate. As soon as you go narrower, your brain goes, well, I don't want a bigger swing, because what you'll end up doing then is you'll create a situation where as you come into it, you'll be a little bit off balance. So go narrow, about 2/3 the stance. I keep the ball quite central in my stance because that's the way the club's designed. And if we do it from this angle here, that just keeps the handle sort of favouring the front of the ball. I'm not way ahead, I'm favouring the front of the ball, and that allows that sole of the club to slide underneath the ball. I don't like the word bounce. I've said that in previous videos. I want to imagine the club sliding underneath, and then the loft and the grooves will grip the ball. Okay, that's the key thing that I'm after. So I go narrow stance, pretty central, and now it's very much sort of instinct of how much swing you do. And that's just experience of playing the shot. But here's our second rule. First rule was use the club the way it's designed. Second technique, second rule that we're talking about, land the ball at least 2 paces onto the green. Why do we do that? The reason why I do it is because the putting surface should be the best surface on the course. So if the opportunity is there, always look to land the ball on the green. And don't think he said 2 paces on, that's where I've got to land it. If you, on this shot, I might be landing it 15 paces on. That's fine. But at least 2 paces onto the green, and we'll see when we get to the other shots how important that is. So we're just going to play 3 shots here onto the green. Every shot we're going to do, we're going to play 3 shots onto the green, show you the technique. Another question I get asked with chipping and pitching and these type of shots, do you have wrist cock? 100% yes, if the swing length needs it. And that's the biggest error I see with chipping and pitching, is people want to keep a short backswing. Your backswing is your power. Okay, if you haven't got a backswing, you get there, you can't do it all with the follow through. You've got to have a backswing. So on a pitch shot, do I have wrist cock? Yes. Is it a full wrist cock? Probably not on a 40-yard pitch. And what I mean by that, a full wrist cock would be a 90-degree angle. Because I'm going to there, I'm probably going to create, if that's 90 degrees there, I'm creating probably about 60, 70. And when I do the chip and run later and the lob shot, that will adapt according to what we've got there. Oops, something just flew into my eye. Okay, so let's play the shot. 10 feet's our goal. That's good. And I want to land every ball on the green. That's the key thing, at least 2 paces on. So now I'm imagining a point where I think, through experience, I would expect my 52 degree here to, when it lands and when it rolls out, to go around about 20, 25 feet from the original landing spot, from 40 yards. The shorter the shot, the harder it is to generate backspin. It will run on. That's a really important thing to understand. So let's play 3 shots. Let's see what we do. So narrow the stance. Didn't mention it, but I grip a little bit down the club. Not a lot. Again, just giving me a little bit more feel and control. And then from there, central in my stance. And now all I'm doing from there, feel the length of the swing. Punch it through. What have we got? Well, if I keep playing them like that, we need to go and do the lottery. That's ended up probably about 15 inches from the hole. So, again, because what have we done really well? We've been really clear in my mind what I'm going to do. End result, way, way better than average. Even for me as a scratch golfer, remember 7 feet, I've put that definitely under 2 feet from the hole. Now here's the fun of it. Can I do it again? So, same routine. Narrower stance, ball in the middle, let your instinct take over. Looks online again. What have we got? Okay, well that's probably about 4 feet away. We'll go up and we'll take a picture and show you the results. Okay, but hopefully what you can see, nothing fancy. All I'm doing is letting the club do the work for me. There are 2 rules, there are 2 techniques. Number 1, let the club do the work for you. Use the club the way it's designed. Set up the way it's designed. 2, land it on the green. That 2-step rule, really important. And now we're getting the 3rd thing we said earlier on. Okay, we said 3 shots, 2 techniques, 1 great result. Well, at the moment we've had 2 great results. Let's see if we can get a 3rd. Okay, really happy with those shots. That one's probably around about my average, about my 7, 8 feet away from the hole. So as a consistency there, all really, really good. Very happy with those shots. Let's see if we can take that idea into a chip and run type shot. So here's our second shot, the chip and run. And I'm always a massive believer of pick the easiest shot for you. And I find a lot of golfers feel quite happy with this. I'm going to explain why a chip and run shot can be really a good shot. And again, we're going to stick to our 2 rules, okay? The 2 rules are, use the club the way it's designed, number 1. Number 2, land it at least 2 paces on. We're only actually around about 2.5 paces off the green here. But we're looking now, winter golf, In the UK, the grass doesn't grow as well. The fringes and that can get a little bit woolly because they're just not cutting them as much, and that's absolutely fine. That's what we have to deal with in this country. So in the sort of the middle of summer, I'd probably putt this, okay? But I can't do that. It's all wet, it's quite thick. So again, my 2-step rule, I want to land it at least 2 steps on, but look where the flag is. The flag is a good sort of, we're talking 50, 60 feet up the green. So I need to land this a little bit further onto the green. But again, I'm still sticking to my 2 rules. I don't want to play a shot here that's going to get caught up in that grass. That's the real important thing. So as we said earlier, the reason why you want to land it on the green is the best surface on the course. You should get the most consistent bounce and reaction from it. That's the reason why we do it. Now, I use my pitching wedge for this shot. And if I'm probably honest, when I started golf, I would have used something like an 8-iron. Now, golf clubs have become what we call stronger. What that means is the lofts have become a lot less. So you see these guys on TV hitting pitching wedges 140 yards. Well, the loft of them compared to when I started is probably the equivalent of something between an 8 and a 9-iron. So it's a little bit false what these guys are doing, okay, because the clubs have become stronger. So my pitching wedge is around about 45 degrees. So my 8-iron, if I go back when I used to use my 8-iron, was about 43 degrees. That was the average 8-iron back in the 1990s when I was starting. So I use my pitching wedge. You can use your 9-iron, 8-iron, whatever you want. I'm going to use the club the way it's designed. I'm going to sit it flat on its bottom. I'm not going to start taking loft off. The great news is if I want to take more loft off, I've got a 9-iron, I've got an 8-iron, I've got a 7. I've got clubs that will do that. Again, I want to use the club the way Titleist have designed it, so that club slides through the ground. Okay, this is really important. Use the club the way it's designed, land it at least 2 paces onto the green. Okay, we're around that area now, a little bit closer, but still as a single figure golfer, 10 feet's a good number. You look at it, anything inside a flagstick length is really good. We saw on the last shot, I ended up around about 15 inches, 3 feet. The last one was around about 12 feet away. Still happy with all of those shots. 2, pretty much going to get down in 2 from the original position, and the other one down in 3, but an outside chance of a 2. So again, just get that level of expectation in the right place. Because this club is more powerful, we're going to put less swing on it, because 1, we are a little bit closer, and 2, because it's more powerful, we don't need to put as big a swing. But it's the safer shot. They always say low shot is low risk, high shot is high risk. Okay, but work on what you're good at. That's the important thing. But I'm going to do the same technique. I'm going to go narrower stance, playing the ball in the middle of my feet. I'm using the loft of the club to do the work for me. I'm not trying to do anything extra. Okay, and I'm going to keep it simple. Do I have wrist cock? Well, depends on the length swing. My swing, as soon as it goes past here, let's turn this way, my wrist will start to cock. That doesn't mean I get there and then I do this. It's just they start to happen. I had somebody comment on one of my short game lessons the other day saying, you just keep it so smooth and easy. And that wrist cock just happens depending on the length of the swing. I'm not tight, I'm relaxed, I'm letting the club swing freely. And if I allow that to happen, the wrist will cock, but more importantly, they'll just naturally uncock as they come down. And we get great results. And again, through experience, you'll work out the power. Happens to be a leaf on the green, probably around about, I'd say about 12, 15 feet. So if I can beat that, then I know I'm playing the shot well. But there's my shot. Watch the length of the swing. It'll be shorter than the pitch. Pop it forward. What do we got? Anything inside a flagstick length is my level. 10 feet's good. I'd say that's probably around about 5 feet. So really happy with that. If you've done it well, this is the fun again. Do it again. Or can you set yourself that mini challenge to think, can I beat it? Okay, but same technique. Both come up a little bit short, so I can be a little bit more positive with it. But this is why I like this shot, because that's ended up probably about 7 feet away. If I do happen to slightly thin the ball, because the ball is going to go low and I'm not forcing the shot, I might end up that distance past the hole. It's not going to be disastrous. If you are trying to play the higher shot and you get that wrong, and it's a bigger swing, then that can be a problem. So that's why I'd say to you, look, chip and run is a great shot. But if you're good at the pitch shot and you're happy with that from here, play it. I'm not going to stop you. Okay, so we've got about 5 feet, 7 feet. Come on, let's see if we can get one there. Just relax. Trust it. That's nicely on line. Got it past the leaf. So I'd say again around about that 7-8 feet. So I'm happy with all those 3 shots. Okay, that's the important thing. I kept it simple. 2 techniques. Landed at least 2 paces onto the green. But really important, use the club the way it's designed. And that's the key one we're going to do when we go and have a lob shot now. We're going to play it over a bunker, play the lob shot, but we're going to stick to the same rules. So here's our 3rd shot, and we're looking at the lob shot over the bunker. And the reason I've come up onto the green is because when you look at it from the camera angle there, it will look like I've got hardly any green to work with. And I'm already standing at the 2 paces onto the green, and if we walk up a little bit further up to the hole, we're talking about another 10 paces. Okay, so that's really important. So straight away, I know I've got 12 paces. We're looking around about 30 foot of green to play with. And when you look at it from back there, let's come back to the ball. It will look like you've got no green to work with. So this is why people play this shot, and maybe it's not their best shot because they're worried about over-hitting it. Now, another important thing is what would be a good result? Well, okay, ultimately I want to be that 10 feet or so away from the hole. That would be really good. But I'm not going to beat myself up here because it is a little bit tougher. The grass isn't great. We've got a bunker to go over. 15 feet would be a good result. I think that's a nice thing to look at. But 10 feet is still an expectation. I'm not going to stick this 2 feet from the hole. If I do, that's a bonus. Now, the other thing to look at is I've got at least that amount of green past the flag. So we're back to our 2-step rule, saying, well, I don't need to land this 2 steps on. And let's explain why we have the 2-step rule. If you slightly underhit the 2-step rule, okay, and go a step less, you're still landing on the green. That's the reason why we use that rule, okay? I'm looking here to be at least 5 paces onto the green. As we said, we've got 12 paces to get there. I've got a lob wedge. And this is the important thing, again, we're going to talk about it. Use the club the way it's designed. The sole of the club will sit there. It'll give me the 60 degrees of loft. What golfers tend to do is they'll open the club up, think, I've got to get more loft. Now the club isn't designed. Yes, it exposes the bounce a bit more. But for me, the problem with that is you end up in a situation where you might slide straight underneath the ball and end up in the bunker. So initially, start with, work on your technique using the club the way it's designed. Okay, that's our first thing. So now I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to go narrower stance. I'm going to just have a little practice swing just to get a feel for the shot. Narrower stance, a little bit down the grip, middle of my stance. There's my 60 degrees. Go with your instinct. I've landed that probably around about 6 paces onto the green. I reckon that's gone about 12 feet past. So here's the good news. I've achieved the result I want. I'm around that 10 feet or so, 12 feet. I'm not going to beat myself up missing it by 2 feet. I've got over the bunker. Good technique. Brilliant. Now, second ball. Let's just let the instinct take over. You can see from the length of the swing, I'm not getting narrow and short and panicking. I'm letting the swing flow. That's the important thing. So is that wrist cock there? 100%. Let it happen. Lovely strike, and I've probably ended up literally same distance, but I'm quite happy with that. And if I probably look at my own game and think, okay, if you had a failing and didn't play the shot maybe as well as you could, I would end up probably slightly over hitting, because my subconscious says the trouble is there, be a little bit firmer. That's absolutely fine. So I'm playing down to that area as we go through. So that's the important thing. Third one. Then we'll do a little recap. So narrower stance, middle of the stance, let the loft do the work. That one's going to be better. Yeah, that's going to roll down probably to about 4 feet. So we've got 3 really good results there. But let's do a recap of what we've talked about. 3 different shots. The pitch, the chip and run, and the lob shot. We've allowed the club to do its job. So I used a gap wedge for the pitch, my pitching wedge for the run shot. Remember, it's got a lot less loft than they used to have. And I've used my lob wedge for the height shot. That's what I've done to get the desired results that I want. So I haven't changed my technique. See how simple I'm keeping it. And I think that's so important. Just got a car going past, okay, if you're picking up that noise. So really important that you stick to that. Narrower stance. Feels then I don't put so much power in. Don't go in with a big stance and try and control it. Narrower stance, feel the shot. Is there wrist cock? Well, let's look at the pitch and run. Very little, but yes, a little bit. And as the swing got bigger, there was slightly more wrist cock. That helps me to get the power. That helps me to get the rhythm. It helps me to get to the bottom of the ball. So wrist cock is yes, but it's not that full force and then you're trying to flick it. You're just letting it happen. Hopefully you see in my swing, it's quite a smooth motion. But with the ball central in my stance, I'm going to reach the bottom of the arc consistently. And that's what we're looking for as we go through the shot. So, mastering your short game. 3 shots, 2 key techniques. Let the club do the work, land it at least 2 paces on, and you'll start getting great results. I hope you've enjoyed that video. If you have, please share it with your friends. There are other videos I've done regarding short game, maybe more specific to certain shots. Please have a look at those. And if you have enjoyed it, please subscribe, and I look forward to seeing you soon.